Good afternoon. I'm Frost Rollins. I'm serving as chair of the April 3rd, 2024 meeting of the Board of Zoning Adjustment. Can everyone hear me? Okay. So I will call the meeting to order.
Will Faulkner,
Here.
Frost Rollins,
Here.
Emmy Sorrells,
Here.
Letitia Smith,
Here.
Marty Heffron,
Here.
Mary Boyd,
Here.
Charles Danbury Jr.,
Here.
Okay, the first order of business is board election for 2024. We have two positions open, chair and vice chair, correct?
Correct.
I'd like to make a nomination for Frost Rollins to chair BZA for the following year.
Will Faulkner,
Oh, wait a second.
Wait.
Yeah, someone's got to second that. There we go. Thank you.
Will Faulkner,
Yes.
Frost Rollins,
Yes.
Emmy Sorrells,
Yes.
Letitia Smith, Marty Heffron,
Yes.
Mary Boyd,
Yes.
Charles Danbury Jr.,
Yes.
Okay, so that item is approved.
Yep.
Okay, our next, then we're gonna take nominations for vice chair. I nominate Letitia
I second that.
Smith.
Will Faulkner,
Yes.
Frost Rollins,
Yes.
Emmy Sorrells,
Yes.
Letitia Smith, Marty Heffron,
Yes.
Mary Boyd,
Yes.
Charles Danbury Jr.,
Yes.
Okay, so that item, that is also approved. That appointment is also approved. All right, so now we move on to approval of the minutes from the December 6th, 2023 meeting. It has been quite a while since we met.
Practice.
Yes. Does anyone have any comments for the meetings, for the meeting minutes from the last meeting? Okay, I make a motion to approve those meeting minutes from December 6th, 2023.
Frost Rollins,
Yes.
Emmy Sorrells,
Yes.
Letitia Smith, Marty Heffron,
Yes.
Will Faulkner.
Yes.
Okay, so those have been approved. Our next item is my opening remarks. This is our new business section of the meeting. Any persons aggrieved by any decision of the board may within 15 days after such decision appeal to the circuit court having jurisdiction according to section 908.02 of the zoning ordinance of the city of Auburn, Alabama. And then there's an additional statement.
Yes.
Is that with the? Okay. Thank you, Vice Chair.
No problem.
Okay. The board consists of 5 regular members and 2 supernumeraries. The supernumeraries participate in all discussions but only vote when necessary to assure 4 voting members and have a board consisting of 5 members when possible. All decisions are made with a roll call vote, and a concurring vote of 4 members is required to approve an application for a variance.
Yeah. Oh, and then I guess kind of the only addition to that would be normally, I guess like in the past, like we haven't had public hearings. And so I guess like we don't technically have like a limit associated with them, but I guess just kind of doesn't really seem on the up and up to just kind of arbitrarily impose that and kind of take that away when we have interest. So what we're going to do tonight is public comment will be accepted for this meeting, but will be limited to 5 minutes. And so that's why everyone will see the 5-minute timer. So if you do wish to speak, it will be limited to 5 minutes. And like I said, in the future, we
Right,
do
that
not
will-
have to have this. Yeah. So-
Yes, okay, so this is an item that, or this was something that was left off of our particular board's rules of order. And we've always had public hearings. Everyone's always been, of course, able to speak, but we just needed to take care of that detail going forward. So now all the boards and commissions are on the same page, I believe, about that. All right, so consistency has been achieved. This is our first order of business. This is a variance from section 502.02C to allow townhomes to be situated behind one another. And this is a planned development, in the planned development district of
Wait a
the,
second.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that has to be the minutes.
That's
I
the minutes.
apologize.
Yeah, it has to be the minutes.
I somehow got everything all out of order.
There we go. It's on
I
the
thought
very
that
front
sounded
page.
bizarre.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's
My
what y'all did
apologies.
last time. You already passed that one.
Yeah, and I guess if you just want to.
I can get us started if.
Yeah. I guess if you just
good
want
afternoon,
to turn it
board.
over to staff.
let me replay that. Okay. This is item BZ 2024-001, the Hanson accessory building. The request is a variance to section 51103G to allow an accessory structure to be placed 5 feet to the rear of the front building line.
Yes, thank you, board members. The applicant, James D. Hanson, is requesting this for a accessory structure carport he wishes to install on his property. That would be less than 10 feet to the rear of the front building plane. The exact text in the ordinance is accessory structures relating to residential uses shall be placed no less than 10 feet to the rear of the front building line. He has cited 5 feet. The property is located within the Neighborhood Conservation District, NC 48, and is surrounded by similar zoning. He's provided a site plan that would show where the carport would be installed. Again, he cited it be 5 feet from the property line, so the variance would be for, I believe, 5 feet. Staff acknowledges that there is topographical constraints that the applicant has cited as a reason for his variance request. If you can see the polygon that's highlighted in yellow in the contours, those thin lines are an elevation difference of 2 feet, and the thick lines are an elevation of 5 feet. And so the property does slope from about 25 feet from one side to the other. Staff has no other comments, and happy to take any other questions.
Have they given us any sort of plan for what it will look like? Will it match the existing exterior of the home? What does this structure look like?
Sure. So all I understand is that it's just a carport. I believe it would be, it would have a roof and walls and whatnot, but I did not receive elevations within the application.
In other words, not one of those temporary type structures we think that you could just purchase at like a home
I don't
improvement
believe
store.
so,
Okay. Were there any communications from neighbors or adjoining lots?
There were not.
So recognizing that there is slope on the property, are we saying that there is no other alternatives or carports like standard sizes, or could you just do a smaller carport? I'm just trying to understand the need for the variance.
Sure. So the applicant has stated that the property slopes, I guess I can keep going back and forth. So I guess if you can see where the house is, it's kind of center left. And if I flip to the house, that cluster of lines, the applicant's claiming that cluster is a steep change in elevation. And so he would like to put, I guess, the carport closer to the house within that 10 feet. I think if the applicant is here, he could give more insight onto his
Okay.
request.
Yeah,
Could you
that
bring
was my
up the
question,
map?
like what
Sure.
size? Are we talking about a double carport or single
So see the
carport?
carport on the left side of the garage, so he's saying you can't put it, like if you drove in the driveway, went straight ahead and moved that red box to the end of the driveway, is that why you can't put it there, because it's just too steep?
Slopes downward or slopes
So we had to
upward?
push
or-
it.
It
Side.
slopes from the Spring Hill Drive to the rear of the building, it slopes up. And so he's saying that he'd basically be building into the hillside.
Is the applicant here with us today?
I do not see him.
What's what's in the neighbor's lot next door, what is that right in there? Is that trees, is it a creek?
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen
When you
more
look
though.
at your topic, or one of these maps had, that we had that one.
that
It
house
looks
is
like
set
there is a
back.
creek that comes down the neighborhood and is touching the northwest corner of the lot, but the property, the surrounding area is large lot residential, very wooded.
So the
This
neighbor-
house sits pretty far back, you
Yeah,
can tell,
yeah,
yeah.
So it wouldn't impede the neighbors'
Yeah.
use at all or visual?
No,
Okay.
we don't think so.
So no comments from neighbors?
We
No
received no,
correspondence?
nope.
Any other discussion?
Open the public.
Okay, at this point, we'll open the public hearing for comments on this item. Okay, seeing that there are no comments, I'll close the public hearing and open to board discussion. Oh, I'm sorry. Could you,
Okay, so,
ma'am, would you mind coming forward and signing in for us? Thank you. Thank you. And would you just mind stating your name again for us?
Shanita Carr.
Okay.
Can you just talk into the mic, please?
Shanita Carr.
Thank you.
Okay, so in other words, we're not understanding what they're trying to do. So the letters that everybody got,
Ma'am, you're the next case.
oh,
You're
okay,
the, you're the next case.
okay.
Okay,
But you've already signed in now, so you're in good shape. Yes.
give us 1 sec, we'll be right, we'll be to that one. Okay. I mean, I wish we had a picture of the home just to get a little bit better than sort of a sketch drawing. I don't know that we can make that a requirement, but seeing that there is a slope, and if this is the only place that one could reasonably be placed, I'm inclined to approve this as presented.
Yeah, as long as it matches the house and there's no issue with neighbors, seems like a reasonable thing to do.
Are we comfortable moving forward with that without any further detail on the appearance? Okay. Pardon?
I think you can make it
Can
conditional
we
on that.
make it
Yeah.
conditional on?
Conditional on it matching the exterior.
Pretty I'm pretty sure that's already like covered by the zoning ordinance anyway. Like thing like additional accessory structures you have to match like the primary structure anyway. And I guess like kind of with the carport, I mean it's not a shed, so I mean that's normally things that are like that sheds are subject to. I guess like a carport is just more so. I mean you can put it there and hope and I guess that they don't have like a super industrial looking carport. But I struggle to think about what that would look like. So
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve variance to section 51103G to allow accessory structure for case BZ 2024-001.
Second.
Will Faulkner,
Yes.
Frost Rollins,
Yes.
Emmy Sorrells,
Yes.
Letitia Smith, Marty Heffron,
Yes.
All right, that motion is approved. Okay, our next item of business is the Foster Street subdivision. This is a three-part variance request. One is for 20 feet, a variance of 20 feet to the required 50-foot minimum lot width for a single-family detached home. The second request is variance to allow a minimum lot area less than the required minimum of 5,000 square feet. The third part of this request is a variance to allow a floor area ratio greater than the maximum allowed 35% FAR in this area.
Yes, thank you. Here's the prox map for the subject property. It's located in the neighborhood redevelopment district at Foster Street and Slaughter Avenue. It consists of 5 lots, which total just over 9 acres. The property was rezoned from Neighborhood Conservation NC8 in 2018 as part of the Northwest Auburn Neighborhood Plan. And the zoning district is designed to promote infill development by allowing a variety of housing types. This is the preliminary layout for the Foster Street subdivision. It is proposing a performance residential development of 58 single-family lots. 34 lots would have 2-bedroom units, and 24 lots would have 3-bedroom units. The neighborhood redevelopment district permits a density of up to 8 dwelling units per acre, which for this property would allow up to 72 dwelling units. And the proposed subdivision is at a density of 6.4 dwelling units per acre. Here is the preliminary layout where I've marked which lots would require a variance of either 20 feet or 15 feet. They're asking for an overall variance of 20 feet to allow any lot to develop as low of a minimum lot width as 30 feet. 24 lots are shown with a 30-foot lot frontage, and 25 lots are shown with a 35. 25 lots are a 35-foot lot frontage. And the lessening of the lot width conceivably causes the need for additional variances, which leads to the variance requests for the minimum lot area and maximum floor area ratio requirements. The plan is conceptual in nature, which makes it hard to know what exact figures are needed, the minimum variances needed to develop as they have presented. And just to note, we'll just go back to here. Other residential housing types permitted by right in this district allow as low as an 18-foot minimum lot width. Townhouse lots allow up to down to 18 feet, and twin house lots allow 25-foot lot widths. All of those townhouses, twin homes, and single family are fee simple products. Townhomes and twin houses are attached units, whereas single family does offer a detached housing product. The Planning Commission is the official body to review the subdivision plat, which it has not been submitted to us for review at this time. The applicant is performing due diligence just to see if it's possible to develop in this manner. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
So I feel like I have lots of questions.
Yeah. Me too.
Okay, so,
Excuse me,
Oh, you
can
gotta-
you please speak into the mics? People have a hard time hearing over YouTube.
okay, so I'm just trying to understand, so the planning committee has not approved the subdivision plat, so.
Correct.
All this is just conceptual, but based on what they are envisioning, they're saying I need these variances just because the idea is that I want to put an X number of affordable housing in this area, so this is what I am working with. But have there been any conversation about what you can do without the variances? I'll start there.
I honestly am not sure.
So I can answer that.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. So there's been considerable conversation just kind of around what can go here
Okay.
from by right, and I think a lot of that, start over. So a lot of the discussion initially took place around another product that would be allowed here by right. That staff did not feel was congruent, I think, like with the surrounding neighborhood. That really would have been out of place. That really would have received a lot of backlash.
Okay.
And so this product, and I think like what's before us here, and that I think they came with staff with, was something that there was a lot of conversation, just kind of internally that we had with the developer about kind of tweaking their product and really kind of thinking through what would be a better fit for this area, other than I think like what they initially came with. So this product is the reflection of a lot of work from the developer, just kind of tweaking it, and they went in an entirely different direction with this product than I think like what they initially came forth with. But I think I just want to be very clear, they have thought through other products that are allowed by right, and they felt that this would fit a lot better than the initial product.
What was the initial product?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess kind of I guess if this one was affordable housing, I guess like the other one would have been townhomes that would be affordable to different people.
Okay, so that's kind of where I was getting at. So I think at the end of the day, if we can just kind of calibrate. So this product that we're talking is to get us to affordable housing for the area. So when we talk about good fit for the community, are we what are we referring to?
No, and so I guess kind of from a lot size, I think like fee simple standalone single detached family homes. I think the initial product was market rate townhomes. Much more kind of in line, I guess not. Piper Glen are all like standalone homes, but they just would have been market rate townhomes. And this one would have been, as I said, this one is much more looking at getting the density and allowing to fit the surrounding area, just kind of like what the housing types, lot sizes are, and things like that. Just and also from a price range as well.
Right, could we, I know, I'm in real estate. Affordable homes means many things to many people. Is there a
next
price
question.
point for that?
Yeah, and I guess have y'all talked about the price point publicly? Like, yeah, so I guess it's kind of the price point for the 2 bedrooms were 180,000, and I think the price point for the 3 bedroom homes were kind of around like 260. I want to say, yeah, 255, yeah, 255, and so that's for new construction in Auburn. I think anyone looking for homes right now, you're not going to find new construction in Auburn for that price point.
Justice, if I could add,
Yeah.
I think the attempt there is to look at the HUD definition for affordable housing, so they've attempted to build that off of that basis.
Okay.
And that's what we would look at from the houses that are built through North Auburn Housing Development Corporation through our block grant program.
Okay, thank you.
They do or do not? Could you repeat the last part?
It's my understanding, and based on what I've looked at, is they're attempting to look at the low to moderate income housing definition developed by HUD for establishing these price points.
And these are conforming within that price point.
These look to be in that range, yes.
Any other comments or questions? I guess questions at this point.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll now open the public hearing for comments from the audience. I guess I should ask the applicant wishes to speak, correct?
Oh, yeah.
It's all coming back. It's been 6 months since we met, so.
Good afternoon, Blake Rice, Barrett Simpson Engineering. I'll be brief unless anyone on the board has questions. Justice did a great job of kind of walking us through how we got here, but at the end of the day, what we came with, the developer originally purchased this property and had a very different project in mind, which was quite frankly, a very super high-end townhome development. After meeting with staff, it was understood that that was not, what this community needed at this location. And so the developer has worked extremely hard trying to figure out a way to provide, fee simple, single-family detached dwellings at a price point that meets the definition that, Mr. Cummings was talking about just a second ago. So that was kind of the direction that the project was headed towards, and just headed towards a new direction. And then the question became, how do you do so? And to meet those requirements, the biggest challenge to overcome is the fact that they are fee simple single family lots, which means they have a specified amount of street frontage along newly constructed street infrastructure, which in the development world is the greatest part of the hindrance to two things, which is driving the price of the land basis of each lot down, as well as being able to fit a density on the lot where you get enough houses to be able to have a price point that is significantly lower than what we typically see in Auburn as fee simple, single-family residential. So in order to do so, the way to do that is diminished street frontage. So the Auburn zoning ordinance requires a minimum 50-foot lot width for single-family residential in performance zoning, which would obviously result not only in much added infrastructure cost per lot, but at the same time, a much smaller density across the development, which rough calculations that, $180,000 two-bedroom home would then become a $260,000 two-bedroom home, and you can kind of extrapolate from there. The three-bedroom home just gets higher and higher. So what we found was to meet the needs that we understood that this local community had, this was the best route forward to get to that idea of a fee simple single-family home for sale product at a price point that we were looking for. So as far as the question of planning commission, so the reason you have a schematic plan in nature is planning commission could not act on this plat because the plat would come before them with not meeting the standard requirements of the zoning ordinance subdivision regulations, because they would be 30-foot lots instead of 50. So the planning commission could not approve that without this board's approval first. So should this board see fit to approve these variances, you would follow up, immediately with a submittal of a plat to match this that would go before planning commission as a preliminary plat, follow that up with full construction drawings and things of that nature. So just a quick history of how we got here. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
I have a question. I'm just processing. So one, I will comment that I appreciate the fact that you are trying to bring affordable housing to this community. So I appreciate the work that has been done to do that. Number two, is there any, and maybe this question was just answered, but if the variances are not approved, is there any variation of a subdivision that could still move forward in some other configuration?
No, ma'am, not in this type of product. There's no way that we can conceive of a fee simple, single-family detached dwelling that would get anywhere near these price points to meet that need without these variances.
Yeah.
Should this variance not be approved, I think there are a multitude of ideas, no concrete plans. There is always the option of some of the permitted by right uses of townhomes and things like that. But it was our understanding that that's not what was
That's not the
wanted
product.
or needed here.
Yeah, and I guess kind of
That's fair.
to second that. So PDDs are currently allowed under the zoning ordinance. PDDs need a minimum of 10 acres. The site is 9. Cottage houses was another thing that we looked at, but it would also need a variance on lot width as well. And so there, like I said, we looked in and through the entire zoning ordinance, and I think in the future, we hope to have a flexible ordinance that allows us to do this, and that's something that we are actively working on. But under the current conditions, variances were the only way that something like the product that they're talking about, a single family detached with these lot widths, is the only way that it can come for the planning commission to be approved with variances.
Okay, thank you.
And you're saying it's the only option in this particular configuration of this product is the only thing that you believe they could come up with.
Yeah, correct, because PDD wouldn't work because the minimum lot size it wouldn't meet. The cottage houses wouldn't work because the lot widths wouldn't meet. And so, like I said, we hope to work towards putting together an ordinance that allows the flexibility for projects like this to happen. I know we've talked about in the future of an ordinance that would allow for things like such as like a win-win for public amenities and things like that, like an exchange and trade-offs and things like that. But one of those things is also affordable housing in situations where there are other things, whether that be green space maintenance, detention ponds maintenance, things like that, and also minimum lot widths, setbacks, FARs, all of those things add to costs of the end product, and those are the flexibility that we're looking for. It's not just about getting high-end architecture in places or adding density in places like this. It's about allowing the flexibility for some of these other innovative projects to move forth. And like I said, it's not always about getting a flashy building somewhere. It's about allowing the flexibility of these projects as well.
Understood.
Justice, and to further clarify, just to make sure, I'll make sure I understood where we were going with that. You may have gotten this, but the point of there's no other options, there are other options that are consistent with the zoning ordinance. None of those would get you into an affordable housing range. So
I took that to
I
be
wanted to make sure we were clear
Thank you
on
for the
that. Thank you.
clarification.
I mean, of this product, yes, of the affordable. Okay, so I have a question about infrastructure. I see there are 2 roads in and out that sort of make a U shape. You're talking about 140 bedrooms, conceivably 2 cars per house, 116 new cars. This is a small neighborhood, well-established, lots of families, lots of cars, lots of things there. Is there a plan to somehow mitigate traffic? I don't see garages, I see driveways, it looks like, and I'm not even sure if those are paved driveways. Like, do we have a plan, or like, have we done any sort of traffic study, impact study, any of that kind of stuff?
Those are parking pads
Okay.
out in front. They are paved. No, ma'am. So we're in a situation where we have to find out if we have a potential project. So part of the staff, City of Auburn staff's job and Planning Commission is to oversee some of the questions that you are having. There would be, should this project move forward in this configuration, the City of Auburn has regulations in place on what does and does not trigger a traffic study. If a traffic study is required, one would have to be provided before construction plans could be approved. And any outcome of that traffic study that were detrimental in nature would have to be mitigated.
And just another comment. So we saw earlier where obviously someone that lives in the community was coming forward and saying that they did not know what you were trying to do. Have they seen?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I spent about 2 hours and 15 minutes at a very similar podium Monday night at the Bell Missionary Baptist
Okay,
Church,
right across the street,
directly
okay.
across the street from this property. There were, once certified letters went out and the sign went up, I think there were some concerned property owners. The council person representing this district reached out. I met with her and city representatives on Friday, kind of explained what was going on, and then she was able to facilitate a community meeting for
Okay.
Monday night.
Okay.
So I came out Monday night and tried to answer as many questions as
Okay,
I could.
perfect. Right, that's it, thank you. I mean,
These are 2-way streets, correct?
Yes, ma'am. These would be standard city streets. The Slaughter Avenue currently just kind of dead ends into the property. We would extend Slaughter, build another north-south street, and then another east-west street that would come back out and come back on to Foster at a T intersection. So to give, good emergency services in both directions and just generally try to tie in what for good traffic circulation, and just, it's a fairly standard layout, but they are standard city streets.
Do they meet the minimum requirement, or
Yes.
are they over that?
Yes.
I mean, okay.
Yeah, this would be on 50-foot rights of way. I believe for a subdivision of this size, minimum pavement width would be 22 feet plus 24 inches of curb and gutter. So, I mean, you would have, the streets would look like any other subdivision in Auburn.
Sidewalks, those are sidewalks on the plat.
Yes.
Okay.
It's not a function of, you know, there are certain ways to get to an affordable housing development, but those items that you're trying to do shouldn't diminish the use of the
Absolutely,
subdivision.
absolutely. That's
So
right.
you still have the same streets, you got the same sidewalks. All you're doing is, you know, making a more narrow lot for a more narrow product to meet that need.
Any idea, I mean, there's so many different varying types of homes back there. Any idea like what types of finishes we're talking about? Are we talking about hardy plank? Are we talking about a
Yeah, I
conventional
believe they're all
brick?
hardy. Is that? No, these are hardy. Were any elevations submitted? Oh, well,
Okay,
I don't know that I have any with me. The community has seen elevations, staff has seen elevations.
Okay.
They are a hardy product, you know, simple gable roof, but
okay,
Okay, thank you.
okay. That's, I don't have, anybody else have any more questions?
Okay, so I will, thank you so
Thank you.
much. You signed in as,
I do have a question
Did-
for staff. Did we receive any communications on this? Like,
I spoke to, would you like-
Yeah. So I think there's a lot of that was kind of headed off by the meeting on Monday night, and I think we got word that there'd just be a lot of public input.
Okay.
So that's
I did
really it.
receive a couple of phone calls also.
Okay. In for or in favor or against?
The one lady I spoke with yesterday, she, I think at first was against the variances, but after I'd spoken with her, she called back to say that she would no longer be emailing in, correspondence of opposition. So her questions had been answered.
Okay.
okay, at this point, we'll open the public hearing, and could you please sign in and state your name if you
I
haven't?
did. Some I know, some I don't know. Been out of commission for a little bit with some health conditions. My name is Lindbergh Bernard Jackson. I own approximately 10 acres and developed in that area, low-cost housing. I have been building and developing around Auburn for over 30-plus years. The reason you see the outpouring of the community here tonight is because of a lack of communication. And if you guys watch the old movie with Clint Eastwood in it, it says what we have here is a lack of communication. This thing has been going on for over a year and a half in terms of discussion. And it's very, very odd and ironic that our councilwoman just finds out about it, say 30 or 2 or 3 weeks before, and all the people you see here, the reason they're here is because they're just now finding out about it a week or so before. The people aren't ignorant, they're not stupid, they just don't understand why at this point in time somebody is going to tell them what is affordable for them. Nobody has surveyed the community. The meeting on Monday, no price points, no direct points to the people. The people is asking you people for guidance. Tonight, I'm going to ask you to do this. Charge the developer, first, do your homework. Every developer or builder or whomever, talk to your people. Become proxy. Know what kind of product they can afford. Don't go read something out of a book or a magazine and tell them, even if it's a census, there's 100 housing units. Moulton, Drake, and Ridgecrest. That's not counting Ridgecrest. People that need housing, but can they afford it? This young lady asked the question, what is affordable? That's the question these people want to know tonight. You have to qualify. Most of these people don't make 50, 60, 70, and they don't have 2 incomes in their homes. I can tell you what is affordable. The city can tell you what is affordable by them subsidizing the houses that they build. They can't find lots. Why? Developers are in it for the profit. They're not in it for the people in Auburn, Alabama. I could understand that. If I was not an African-American person that was compassionate toward my people, I don't live there, but I own property in that area. If I could afford to build, which I plan to, I would put something there that most of these people could afford. And I would be willing to participate, as your planner says, with the city on lowering the cost of the infrastructure, maintaining some of the green spaces and everything that are there. But you got to bring something to the table to give to the people. You can't just take. These people can't afford that. This neighborhood is 75 to 100 years in age, very well established. Their kids, their grandkids want to come back home. What are they going to see when they get there? Traffic dumping out. We've been in here and we've done this movie before at Bell Missionary Baptist Church. This is not the first time this property's been up. You have 58 families that are going to dump their traffic directly in front of Bell Baptist Missionary Baptist Church. That's not a major thoroughfare. That's a connector street. It goes from one end to the other. People go in, turn around. It's going to be excessive amount of traffic. You have Sunday services. You have Wednesday night Bible class. You've got weddings. You got funerals. These people they got to go to class. They got to go to work. This kind of a development is not the only alternative. Trust me. I worked engineering for 8 years here in this city, and I know that there is another alternative for this particular piece of property. Why don't the city participate? Why don't you ask other developers, or why don't you do some set-aside? There's many
You have
options.
30 seconds, less than.
Okay.
Just
There's
letting you
many
know.
options. And what you'll hear tonight, the reason I say table, is because give the developer time, not for a year to plan, but give him some months or so to go back and talk to the people. And then you won't have this kind of feedback that you're about to hear from these people tonight. I stand with the people. I don't live there. I can afford what they're offering. But I
Thank
don't
you,
want these
sir.
people to be homeless in the rural someplace. They're going to tell you how they feel about it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate your comments.
So the developer actually does have some of the elevations, so I'm gonna give those to us. I just
Okay.
wanted to let you know.
Oh, okay.
You can cross that, yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay. That's okay.
Okay.
That gives you an idea how the backs butt up to each other.
I'm sorry, you all. I didn't tell you what I gave you. These are the questions that was asked the community.
Oh, yeah.
That was a question I had for you.
Yeah, these are questions that almost all went 100% no.
This was distributed at the recent meeting.
Yeah, only Monday night.
Thank you.
Lack of communication.
Who else would like to speak on this item?
I think somebody's coming.
I would just like to say good afternoon to the board and everything.
Can you
I
state your
live-
name?
Oh, okay. It's Inez Martin. I live at 502 Bird Street. They're right there on the corner of this property. And I've been living there, well, been in the area just about all my life. And, you know, as they were saying, now, if anybody look at this map up here, it looked like the slave ship that we brought over. Just look at those things. You just look at it. And that, in every section, when I was a child growing up, we had 5 or 6 neighborhoods. Look at the back line. Look at up in Draketown. All those big companies has come in and just really just destroyed the whole section. Now, in our section over there where we are now is the only one that's still allowable. So I don't want some big company to just come in there and just destroy that. So, and look like that's what's gonna happen. And as far as paying $180,000 for a 2-bedroom, a lot of kids have graduated from college and they only making like $58,000 a year. I mean, they can't afford it. In that little space, I would just go out and say 10 acres. You gonna put 58 houses there. In other words, my next door neighbor don't even have to come over. I can sit on the porch, on my porch and have a cup of coffee, and they be on their porch and have a cup of coffee. And then now all of a sudden, this big company gonna come in and want us to change the rule. If it's 50 feet, let it be 50 feet. Now the city did some houses right down the street below that. They didn't cost no $180,000 for no 2-bedroom. I know prices have gone up, but make it so the people in that neighborhood can afford those houses. I know everything is going up everywhere, but you know, if the people not making the money, they can't afford. And before you know it, we won't have. It'll be people, students staying in those apartments. And as far as the traffic coming on, the traffic is already bad now. So can you imagine 58 more families, and if it's a husband and wife and they got 2 kids, by the time they get up, teenagers, they got cars. They ain't gonna even have a place to park their car. They're gonna have to park it on the street. And then that make, it's just too congested to try to put them many houses on 10 acres of land. And we don't need no 2-bedroom. If you got, even if it's a single parent and they got 2 kids, they still need more than 2 bedroom. And the first bedroom gonna be, and I've been in some of those apartments that the bedroom is so small, or you have to have just a twin bed in there, and you can't put the dresser in there. You got to put the dresser in the hall. So y'all need to reconsider. And, the city can take over and do it just like they did those right down the road from there. And that'll be feasible.
Thank you so much for your comments.
I guess on the city, so for the houses that were built through the community development, that price point was I think about 180,000, but the city was able to put it down. I think it got down to about 165, but it was heavily subsidized. And so I guess kind of even looking at the product that I think is before us, like I said, I mean, would not be feasible without heavy subsidization from the city.
How much was it subsidized? Do you know? Can we get that?
Yes, that's and
We wouldn't be able to get that. I mean, that's we'd have to go back and do some research in order to pull some of those numbers together. But I guess, as far as, discussions, for this meeting, I guess, would ask, focus on the request. I mean,
Yeah.
they've got to get this in order to get to the next steps. And there's a lot
Sure.
that would have to play in after that. So would request that, stick, focus on that. Yes, the city has, participated through our partner, North Auburn Housing Development Corporation, to build affordable housing, but that price tag has gone up through the years just for the cost of construction. And we're all facing that.
Understood.
It's actually my fear. I know they want to keep it at the 160 to 280 range. I do this every day for a living. I don't know how a builder's gonna be able to build a house for that and make any kind of profit, to be honest, with the profit margin that most developers and builders want to get. I'm skeptical about the price point. I fear if we pass this, those prices will come out of the ground at 200 and 295.
That's right.
So,
Okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I
okay,
hope I'm wrong, but that's my prediction.
oh wait, I see, I'm sorry, it's this
it's still a public
let's
hearing.
continue.
Yeah, go
Let's
ahead.
continue our
Yeah.
public
Yeah,
hearing,
let's-
and then we have a lot to
we have a lot to
discuss.
discuss.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Hi.
Good afternoon. I'm Martha Letha Mitchell, and I'm at 883 Zealous Court, Auburn, Alabama. And my concern is, I know we need affordable housing, and I know things cost, but my main concern is 58, because I live in the city of Auburn, one of the houses that they built on Zealous. And I don't know how many acres that is, but if you see our houses, they are so close together. And you got people with children. Children like to play, and other people do not want children on their lawn. So my concern is this many houses in that little space. And again, they say about the parking, and they know, you know they don't want you parking on the road. Because I have a car, at the time when I first got the house, I had me and my 2 sons. We had cars. Then they'll say, well, you can't park your car on the street. Well, the little driveway wouldn't hold but 2 cars. So what do they want? They want you to have something or not have something. So again, I know things cost, but 58 units, that's going to be some trouble. I just feel like, because like I said, I had children, I got grandchildren, and my neighbors do not want them playing on their lawn. So you're going to have people causing problems because they got that many houses in that little space. So my concern is that you all really think about this. And again, I know we need affordable housing in Auburn, but just think about the trouble that it's going to cause. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Scott, I have a quick question. Can they, are audience members allowed to sign in, like, while someone else is speaking? Just so we,
They can, or after they speak is
okay,
fine.
okay.
Hi, my name is Eva Harden, and I bought a house from the city in 2007. I only paid $83,000 for my house. Now, I know things gone up, but $180,000 too much for a affordable home. Then I got one more question. Why should we give some of our land in order to build that structure? I was told the city wanted to take some of our land to build a structure. So why should we give our land away?
Is that a question? I don't think that's
I
the.
was told that the city, that y'all needed some, about 30 feet of our property in order to build a subdivision.
Don't think that's the case. I would say no. Yeah.
Yeah, the
That's the
parcel
second
exists.
time that's been referenced.
A part of a property that I have to make the 50-foot where it would be another entrance.
The developer already owns this land, correct?
Yeah. So everything that's on here is already owned by the developer, and I guess kind of like, I mean, if you're talking about right of way or something, I mean, right of way was already public right of way. But I'm really kind of confused on the idea that this development would require any of your land. I don't really understand where that's coming from.
Well, that's what we was told. They was gonna come in and
So-
get 30 feet for every one of us.
There's-
Yeah.
That's not accurate.
I'm sorry, I can't allow you to continue,
Well,
but
he said that it's all owned by him. Mr. Giddens live in the middle of that whole parcel. Hugh
Right.
Giddens.
Yeah, live in the middle of it.
Where, like, so you're
Which
talking about
parcel?
like, yeah, like in the one of the 5 that they've already bought, or I'm
He's
It's around.
Yeah. Just to clear up any confusion, there is no intent to take any land by eminent domain or anything. The developer owns this land. Where Slaughter Avenue dead ends currently was a existing right-of-way. Just
Yeah.
because it may be grown up and there's not paved, nobody's gonna be losing any portion of their land if this project were to proceed. So I do want to clear that up. I don't know what you may have heard, and I can totally understand how things like that may get started. But the Slaughter Avenue right-of-way would have already existed, even though it wasn't currently connected. They were thinking when they did that for future connectivity, whether that was a 1 house on this 9 acres, or whether it was 5 houses or 58 houses. So nobody's land is gonna be impacted anymore by this. So no one's land is gonna be taken away.
Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, yes.
So in other words,
State
the
your
letter
name.
Can you
that-
just state your name
one
for
more
us?
time.
Yeah.
Okay. Shanita Carr.
So in
Thank you.
other words, the letter that my aunt them got, can I show it to you?
Can you explain what
It's
it
saying
is?
that it's,
But I'm sorry,
it's
who is it
literally-
from? And
Yeah.
it's
who
from, I guess, the city. Yeah, but it's
Okay.
saying that for them to build, and if they don't have enough on there, that they're gonna take some of their land. It is in writing. So that's what all the commotion is about. Like he said, communication. And then on that meeting for Monday, then none of them even know about the meeting. So how is they gonna have a meeting and gonna discuss stuff when some of the people don't even know what's going on? And then some of the people are elderly people. And then, like they said, my grandmother stayed there. She passed away. I growed up there. I've been there for 57 years. So it's just gonna be a big difference and a big change. I mean, I ain't saying nothing about a change is wrong, but some of these people are set in their ways and stuff.
No, we understand that change is hard and difficult.
And so, and what got them so upset is like they said, it's like they were talking about taking some of their land without even.
Is this an official communication from the
Do
city
we
of
know
Auburn?
what this
It's
is?
a letter that some of the letters that arrived about the meeting and stuff today, they just got it yesterday.
Can we,
Certified letters. So that's what the commotion is about.
are you bringing this letter up, Mr. Cotton?
Yeah. Hold on. I have it digitally. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, thank you for your
yeah,
comments.
thank you for bringing that to our attention and
If you-
clarifying.
He's bringing up
Gonna
what
pull
was
it up.
sent, so yes.
I guess okay, so I have the letter. I don't.
Basically,
To me, it doesn't read that.
I can put on, hold on one second.
Yeah. So.
Gonna display the letter? Or
Yeah,
can
yeah,
we?
yeah.
Do we have a projector or
No, I mean it'll come up on there.
He's got all this.
Found one of them.
My name's Andy DuBois, and I'm at 920 Slaughter Avenue. And the letter I have, I don't really understand it, but I believe it's just too congested for to put 58 units in a little small area like that. It's just too congested, and this is a letter received from I guess it's a certified letter that everybody's talking about. Anybody want to see it?
Yeah, this should be what, it should have the official Auburn logo as well as the plat and should tell you. So that's what you, okay. We would love, if you don't mind sharing,
Yeah,
we'd be
yeah.
happy to look at it. Yeah.
thank you. Okay, so is there a way that I can make sure that everyone knows what we're talking about
You
for
take
the
a
sake
picture
of
of it, email it to him, and he can bring it up on
Hold
the
on.
screen.
No. Like I mean, it's.
It's just,
So I think if yeah, I guess if you would like to finish talking for your public hearing, then I can clarify on the letter. But I don't. There's no mistakes on the letter, so.
That are or that
I just want to make sure that we're all talking about the same letter.
well,
And so that everyone's reassured that,
Yeah.
all I'm telling you, I've been there since 1967 or 68, and it's just too congested to put 58 units in a little area like that. And wow, there's gonna be a whole lot of confusion. Too congested.
Okay.
That's just the plain truth.
Okay. So the letter,
All right. So I can read the letter and I can kind of explain everything kind of step by step then.
We have it here.
Oh
But-
yeah,
But it's gonna be too
Oh, I
congested, no
see.
matter what the letter says, it's gonna be too congested to put too many houses in that little 10-acre little land or whatever.
so
we've got it up on our screens.
this,
so-
the letter that you've brought forward is
Thank you.
a letter from the Planning Services Director. And it is addressed to property owners. It's dated March 22nd, 2024. And it is, it appears to be an announcement that this item will come before the BZA and explains what the request is. and gives some details that I believe have already been covered in the staff report.
And so I guess I just kind of want to explain those, because there seems to be a misunderstanding. So all right, so so as the letter reads, I just want you to get through like the date of like where the meeting's going to be held. So the purpose of the meeting is to hear variance requests from Blake Rice, Barrett Simpson Inc. to Section 50202A, Performance Residential Development Standard, Single Family Detached Home of the City of Auburn zoning ordinance. The first request is to allow a minimum lot width of 30 feet when the required minimum lot width is 50 feet. So I guess just to reread that, the first request is to allow a minimum lot width of 30 feet when the required lot width is 50 feet. That speaks to what the minimum lot width is required on street frontage for all fee simple subdivisions. That is not an ask of any property owner who received this letter. That is just a description of what the developer themselves are asking for the lot frontage for their subdivision that they are trying to create to be less than 50 feet, as low as 30 feet. That is not an ask on anybody's property for anybody to convey or give up land. Just want to establish that. The second request is to allow a minimum lot area less than the required 5,000 square feet. And so, like we stated earlier, minimum lots are required to be 5,000 square feet, but if they can shrink the lot width, it can increase the density, which can provide more units for the land, et cetera. It enhances affordability. So once again,
What is 10 acres of land and 50, they're gonna be 58 units or something?
I'm sorry, sir. I thought you were done speaking. I'm sorry. Did I interrupt you?
So, could we? I want to give you your full time to speak.
Yeah.
Okay. And it's been a lot of questions have come up. So, if you don't mind, would you let him continue to clarify, and we'll definitely get back to you.
Yes, I will.
And then the third request is to allow for floor area ratio less than the required, for floor area ratio greater than the maximum allowed, 35% FAR for all lots within the proposed Foster Street subdivision. And then the subject property is located west of Foster Street and northwest of Slaughter Avenue in the neighborhood redevelopment district, zoning district. So just to clarify, the letter was not intended to convey that the city wanted any land from anybody. It was just stating that the minimum lot width of 50 feet be amended down to 30 feet to allow for the density in the subdivision. This was not a request on anybody to hand over any land to the city. This was not an action of preempting eminent domain. This was not any of that. So I do not know where that rumor came from, but I want to say definitively and emphatically that that was not the purpose of this letter. This letter was simply a communication about what the variance would be for, and the variance is for lot width. Like I said, this is not eminent domain. This is not a takings. This is none of that. So if that is a rumor that anyone heard, I'm sorry that it may have upset you. I'm sorry if I said, if you came down here and that was kind of your understanding, if anybody riled you up to those rumors, but strictly just a rumor. That is not what that communication is for. The communication was simply to communicate that there would be a request on shrinking the lot width, shrinking the minimum lot size, and then also in the FAR, which is really just has to do with the floor area ratio and what can be built on the property. And so I just wanted to spell that rumor right now. So if anybody here to communicate that, I want to assure you that is not the case. And then as far as the right of way, Slaughter Street that was already there, that was city right of way that might have been overgrown, that people might have been using as their own land, but that was always city property. That was eventually going to be a street, which if the subdivision does go through, it will be Slaughter Avenue that will be punched through to allow for homes to be built on the frontage of it. And so like I said, I just want to emphatically state this was not a communication that the city had any intentions on anybody's land, taking anyone's land. The only thing that was grown over that might have been misconstrued is the right of way that was Slaughter Avenue. That is it.
Thank you.
Also, sorry, Justice, could you also speak to the fact of the timing of the communication? Because there is a process where people have to apply. We did not get our packets until the same time that you did. So even for us, this is the first time that we saw it the same time that you were notified. So it's not that we were trying to withhold information. There's just a timing. They have to apply by a deadline. A letter goes out. A sign goes out. You probably all saw a sign if you were close to there that has some of these, things in the packet that you can grab. And so I don't think the timing was meant that maybe if you didn't, get your certified, I know it takes a little bit longer. You have to go to the post office, sign for your certified mail. I understand that. but it's not intentional. That's just the process for how we do that. So
Yeah,
can you speak to that a little
and so I guess just kind of on the process, just kind of with, I mean, it's very very rigid. Like when things are submitted, things have to go out. We send it to the publisher, like those dates, certified mail, and things like that. And I guess the other process that I do want to stress. A lot like the variance, I think the rights that people have, like to develop their land. A lot of this communication is really just not courtesy. It's required by law for certain items, but other things. I mean, this is really just kind of what people want to do with their land, and I think that's part of this that I think oftentimes, like in planning, ends up eliciting a lot of these very visceral reactions. But when it turns around, it ends up being somebody, well, I just want to do this on my land, and then all of a sudden, like, everyone's really riled up about it, and they want to have discussions about what someone else is trying to do on their land. So I guess this is really just the variance process doesn't necessarily doesn't approve this. It really just kind of allows that when this goes to planning commission as a preliminary plat, that if it were to fail for lot width, lot size, or FAR, the variance would be I guess would be the way to mitigate that. Of like, those would not be the test cases for the subdivision that failed. The subdivision or the preliminary plat still may not be approved for other reasons. There would be other reasons that the preliminary plat still could be denied if they do not meet other standards. But these three, if the variances are approved, would not be reasons to deny the preliminary plat, I guess. And so there's a lot of processes happening, just kind of property rights, et cetera. But just how this is working through, like we kind of said at kind of the outset of this, or Blake kind of mentioned that the variance is necessary for this to go to planning commission for them to consider the preliminary plat.
What about congested parts? So that'll be considered when y'all think about.
Right, and so
all the congested
how he
parts.
mentioned, I'm sorry. So how he mentioned, so pretty much with all subdivisions or developments that come through, there is a review of the traffic and like what the projected traffic and how it's going to impact the flow of traffic. And so if a traffic study will be required. And then if there's any mitigations, so whether that be a turn lane, whether it would be lights, et cetera, for like some of the bigger things that happen, whether that be industrial projects, bigger residential developments and things like that. I mean, whole road improvements happen as a result of that to accommodate the traffic flow. And so if there's any negative impact foreseen for a development, it will be addressed and it will be mandated that they have to address it to develop. That is a part of the regulations for the city of Auburn. That is a part of the development review process.
Well, not only the traffic, what about the people being too close together?
I mean, that's just density. But yeah, I guess from a density, normally I think depending on who you ask, has positives. But I think just kind of the density, I think for this, it's not much greater than I think. We have other denser areas in Auburn, I guess would be like what I'm trying to get at. I mean, there's some places where you can have 9 dwelling units an acre, and other places, I mean, they go even higher than that, and some places in the city. But I mean, over here, this is really, like I said, just an attempt to allow for the single-family detached product. That is what it is for. And I mean, even in some of the bigger cities and some of the older cities, I mean, even Birmingham or like Montgomery or places like that, I mean, they have, smaller lots like to allow for like these type of products. So.
And one more thing, when you don't make what $30,000 a year, and you call that affordable housing, $180,000 for a house.
And so
you only put $30,000 a year.
Yeah, and so I guess so we've had a lot of communication just kind of with our community development department around it, and so a lot of the requests that they get.
Consider that also.
Well, also for not just like workforce housing, but I mean they get a lot of requests for low income or no income housing as well. And so some of those products, like I said, I mean from new construction standpoint, that's just not possible in some regards. But I think kind of what this product would be looking for, like I said, affordable housing is something that we are going to define, like when we get to kind of like working through like some of the agreements, some of the granular details, just kind of like around approving this. But I think from what you're talking about, like I said, whether it be very low or like no income, some of those products wouldn't be possible, or like a single family product just wouldn't be possible to accommodate that market.
So, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So thank you, and go ahead and come forward. I just want to, I'm struggling with how we are going to get to the end result, because I think someone said earlier that it's a communication issue. It's really not understanding, and I don't know where along the way we could have done something differently to make sure people understood what is happening. So, I mean, it's nothing we can do about it now. But you know, we're here today from a board of zoning adjustments, and our job is to pretty much just say, do we agree with these variances to allow them to be able to build a product that would meet the needs of affordable housing? But what the focus on is the product itself. And so that goes back to my original question. If I approve this variance, am I approving the product? And that is conflicting to me, because I'm hearing, now I would be the first to admit the builder, it's his land, he owns it, and he can do what he wants. But I think the builder may have had some good intent when he wanted to put affordable housing, but it seems like there's a gap between not what it is that is needed. And so I'm trying to figure out where do we go, because this can...
Yeah. I appreciate you saying all that. I want to make sure we get to everyone.
Absolutely.
Who's
I'm sorry.
No, you're good. This is a beast here. So at least for our board. So please continue, and we'll make sure that we talk about that.
Okay. My name is Geraldine Pitts, and I live where they're gonna put the houses. Will be right in my backyard, and it'll be in other people's backyard as well. And first of all, I want to ask that if there's anybody in here that really agree with all that's going on, if you agree with this stand, if you do not, if you disagree,
Can you
stand.
mind to address the board?
If you not,
Would you mind addressing just the board?
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
If you do not disagree with it, you know, you can sit down. But most of the people in here have concern, because number one, you put that many houses back there, it's gonna be a safety issue for number one. Safety issue, because you're gonna have families parking in 2 or 3 different places. And if a fire break out or anything like that, you're gonna have houses that's so close together, they're gonna catch fire. To me, it's not suitable to continue with this project right now until you really, find out what's people need. It's just so much to consider. You consider the families, you consider the children, and then you have the students coming in off of Dunford Drive going to Auburn University. That little place is gonna be a straight street to Foster, which is gonna lead them up to Highway 14. And that place, Highway 14 and Foster Street, and kids going to school, people going to work, it's not gonna be accessible. So, I mean, it's just a lot to consider at this point in time.
Thank you, ma'am. Could I request that you pull up the map on our monitors? Thank you.
You're welcome.
Or actually, it's on your monitor, but it's not on ours.
Okay, thank you.
Super.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak?
Yes.
Okay.
Can I speak from right here?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
If you, oh, I'm sorry. Can we bring him a
like,
microphone, or is there a way to?
It won't reach.
He's pretty old.
Sorry to make you travel so far. We just want to make sure that everyone at home who can't be here to participate is able to understand and hear your comments as well.
Oh, excuse me. They put that chair in my way.
It happens every time. Thank you, sir. What was your name again?
My name is John Sellers, And I live in the area that they're discussing now, but I live on Burridge Street. I'm wondering where does Slaughter Street connect with Burridge Street and Dunford Street? I didn't know that that Slaughter Street ran all the way through there.
It doesn't.
Now, we know that Dunford did at one time come through there, but it's been closed 50 years or more.
Yeah. So.
Staff, do you mind addressing
Oh,
that?
yeah. So I guess if you just want to finish your comments, and I'll answer all your questions at the end. I don't want to interrupt you.
Okay. The other thing is, I'm feeling that none of you all live in that area, do you?
No, sir.
We drive through, but, all right.
Say it again.
No, sir, we do not.
Okay.
I'm familiar with that area. I'm
Yes.
a real estate agent in town, so I'm very
Right,
familiar
no
with that area.
doubt, no doubt you are. It's a lucrative area if you can get it to work, isn't it?
It is, and there's very little inventory in that area because we have a lot of people who pass these houses down generation to generation, so
So
yes.
let's let him
Yeah.
finish his comments. Do you have any,
But I've seen the signs up, and I've seen other property that's along with the property that Hugh Ginn lives on, and the Pinks live on, and the Childs live on, that's fairly vacant now. Those families have died out or moved out. But what I'm really thinking about is the other people in the community. They're building some affordable houses at Tucker Street, Bird Street, and Vickerstaff Street. I think they're putting 7 units or so over there. I don't know what those units cost. Do you all have any idea?
we can again, note that that was a question asked and try to get, that information.
The
Do you-
city planner should know what those units cost.
I want to make sure you get through all of your
Yeah.
comments so that,
Yeah.
we don't interrupt you, and then we'll,
Really, what I'm concerned about is how many people that live in that area want to see this project go through. The number of people that live in that area that we're talking about, Foster Street,
would you mind addressing us, sir?
Slaughter Street, and
Mr.
Home
Sellers.
Street. How many people in that area
What-
want to see that? I'm talking to you all. How many of you people want to see that project go through?
I think that I want you to be able to have all the conversation that you would like to with anyone at any point. I want to make sure that everyone here has a chance to speak and that we
Okay.
get all of their comments on record so that we can use that as a basis to go forward and continue this process with as much public engagement as we can get. So.
Well, I was just gonna ask the people, the citizens that live over there, if they wanna see this project go through, to stand up.
And
if
that's why
they-
we're here,
if
is to
they're
get
against
them
that
a
project,
chance to speak.
to remain seated.
Excellent.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Zeller.
Thank you.
thank you.
Do we have any other individuals who'd like to come forward? Ma'am.
I can answer. So I guess the house was. So the question was about what was the cost of the city homes, just kind of on the other streets. And so, like I said, I mean, after like extensive conversation, just with the community development services, like I said, they were able to reach a price point of like 165, but that was on. There was lending that the city contributed to. There was other forms of it being subsidized. So I mean, it was subsidized. I mean, by over $20,000 by the city. And other entities, and so like I said, I mean, just reaching that price point without any help, just not common.
What were his other questions?
And then I guess on I guess on the new road punching through as far as Slaughter, this would be the end of Slaughter. So as you see on there, to the west side of Slaughter would end in a detention pond, and so it really would just be a stub out, not going all the way through to Bird Street.
Okay. Okay. We have a few more people.
My name is Julia Allen. And I know there's change. We do need more houses. I don't know if 180 to 260 is affordable, but I have a problem with the amount, the 58. And I know they putting a lot in there to come up with that price. But I don't see them selling. And then, after you go so long, they're not selling, then we're gonna have student housing. That's the problem that I have with it.
Thank you, ma'am. Would anyone else like to speak? Any other citizens? Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
My name is Barbara Sexton, and I live in Auburn all my life. I was living on North Gay Street. And the last 10, 15 years, my mother passed, and she was trying to redevelop her home. The city told her she could not do it. And then maybe 5 years later, the developer come in and bought the whole property. And she wanted to give her a better home to live in. And they purchased from Northgate, Hudson Terrace, 4 blocks. Nothing but condos for students. Students don't need any more housing in the area. We need single-family dwellings, affordable. If not, that's senior citizen residence for them to live in. Because it's very hard to find senior citizen resident to live that's affordable. I don't understand how the developer can move in and just take over everything from the city of Auburn. Don't the city of Auburn have money? They can afford to do something for the citizen of Auburn before the developers take over. If the developers take over, it's all over then. You can't do anything. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other citizens who would like to speak? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing and open to board discussion.
Oh, boy.
I think one of the important things to remember in all this discussion is that by approving or not approving this doesn't mean that this is going to happen. This just allows it to go to the next step of the planning phases for everything to be reviewed, for the traffic studies to be done, for the planning commission to look at the proposed subdivision, to approve everything on all the plans. It doesn't mean that because we say yes or no to this, that this will or will not happen tonight. So I think that's a big point to
Yes,
remember in all the
that's
discussions.
important. I also want just to reiterate that the reason I too am hung up on the 58, that is high density. In order to get what is affordable, and I know 180 does not sound affordable, I'm right there with you. But realistically, that is the most affordable housing that we would probably currently have in Auburn. So I do want that I do want to state that pretty plainly. In order to keep that price point, you do have to add density. If you added less houses, the house price point goes up. It's just supply and demand. That's just kind of how that works. So we can't get affordable housing without getting density. They kind of have to go hand in hand. We're not taking more of your land to get to the 10 acres. That would allow this to give a little bit more breathing room. We have 9.1 acres. The developer owns that. There are far more dense projects and products that he could put on that would be what was originally planned, were market price condos. And when I tell you what market price condos are, it's way more than $260,000. So I know that we're getting hung up on density, I understand that, but to keep it at a price point that would be affordable, it comes with that density issue.
And I appreciate you mentioning that. I think that it is, we have to be careful when we talk about the definition of affordable. You know, there's
right.
definitions from lots of different entities. There's a legal definition, you know, there's all sorts of, and what's affordable to one person is not affordable to another person. And so, I think that it's prudent that we be careful when we talk about arguing whether something is affordable or not. Because it's relative. And, we must be careful when we speak of that to make sure that we're all using the same definition set of references.
And affordability is not being set by us, it's being set by the HUD guidelines, which the builder is trying to meet within those guidelines to set the affordability for these homes. The city's not setting that, and this board's not setting the affordability guidelines for this project.
Correct.
So I have a question. So I'm still going back to kind of, we know that this is just, I'm stuck on what our job is from a variance standpoint, approval or not. But even so, there's a lot of sentiment in the room about what is being proposed. So it goes to the planning commission. So we're gonna have a subdivision plat that's gonna be presented to the subdivision. We start to the planning commission. We started this conversation with it being conceptual. So I think part of what this sentiment in this room and the emotion in this room is because the look, the feel, the density is kind of not what the community wants. So I'm just trying to understand kind of like next, is there opportunity for to take all of this input that we have received and try to make some type of amendment, some type of, have some conversation? Because one of the things that we know for sure is that there is a level of mistrust, and we have to just kind of accept that this is coming to the board, and we have a whole community of citizens who are saying that they feel like they have not been given the information. So right, wrong, or indifferent, or how we may feel about it, it is what it is. And so I feel like it's the wrong place, but this is kind of resting squarely now on the board of zoning adjustments as to how we proceed. So I'm conflicted, right? Because I feel the pain in the room, and I understand, and I definitely agree that affordability is relative. I understand that there's a definition for affordability, but if the intent is to do the right thing and to bring affordable housing to the community, I'm struggling as to then how do we make sure that we make it happen for the people who we are saying that we want to build affordable housing for?
Correct.
So I don't know, there may not be an answer, but I'm just, from a board discussion, I think we have to, regardless of whether we think it's the affordable or not, and regardless of whether we're following the HUD guidelines or not, if the people in our community can't afford what is being proposed, we understand that they do feel like what will happen is that it's going to turn over and it's going to become something that they feel like is not what they want, and it's also going to feed into the mistrust that was the plan all along.
So
I guess like the thing I do want to, that I've tried to articulate is, so I have the table of uses pulled up for NRD. As far as like what's permitted in NRD, single family detached, zero lot line townhomes, twin homes, duplex, cottage housing, multiple family development. I think that one's conditional, but pretty much all the other housing types, just kind of like twin homes, single family, all of those are allowed by right. And so what that means is that there would not be any public hearing. There just would be plans submitted and then
Townhouses
construction.
It could be
Right.
much denser. by
Oh,
right
oh
already.
yes. I want to be very clear
that's-
about
and
that.
that's the
This is a
scary
single
part.
family. This is a single family product.
That type of
which
product that
is-
would, I'm sorry, Will, go ahead.
Yeah.
That type of
yeah.
product that would be allowed by right without the opportunity for you to speak or have any input would dump in maybe double the people
Yeah, which is
at a much higher price point, probably 300,000 and up.
Okay, so
And I guess so I guess kind of the point of kind of what I was getting at, and I think we kind of talked about like the process and kind of how this goes, kind of
Yes.
informing people. When you talk about private property rights and like the requirement to inform people as the public, there's only a narrow scope of things where that has to happen. Conditional uses, variances, and those things are like where those things happen. Preliminary plats is another one of those things where that happens. But if someone was to just these are my rights. I have these permitted uses. I'm submitting this. You're obligated to approve it. I mean, like I said, there would be no public hearing. There would not be a lot of push, but there'd be no give and take. There would also be no discussion about price point either.
Yes, point taken. I mean, and that's yes.
Last but not least, I think these
Sorry,
people
sir.
roll
I have
the dice.
to close the public hearing is closed.
Yeah.
So.
So it
So
seems
it
like
came here first, but it could have gone to planning commission, correct?
Right. So I guess like when the applicant was talking about how things go, so a preliminary plats and final plats have very specified standards that they must meet. Lot widths, lot minimums, and then also FARs all three would have been reasons that this would not have passed, would not have been allowed. Like we probably wouldn't have even let it get to that point. It's like very yes or no, pass, fail. It doesn't make it here. And so the point of getting the variance first would be that these are three reasons that we know we're going to have some issues with. They may be able to work around the FAR, but the minimum lot width and the minimum lot area are two that they cannot. They're must-haves. And so they want to be able to submit a preliminary plat that meets all the other standards except for those two for sure, and then possibly the FAR. That way they can put forth this product. 'Cause like I said, I mean, the buy right option does exist. So.
So if you approve the first two and not the third one, then it goes to get planning, right? And then it would have to get that third one approved in order for it to move forward, if that's what
We have
got
to at
approved.
least approve number one, because
Right.
minimum lot width, no
Correct.
plats going forward
That's
without
what I mean, the
minimum
first
lot width,
two.
yeah. And then,
The third one's the percentage, which would also eventually
which
have to
may or
get
may not.
approved.
That
Well, yeah, and I guess kind of the thought process behind that was that we would definitely include the first two, and then the third one. That way, we wouldn't have to come back to BZA. That way, it just would be something that they would just, hey, can you kind of work on this? Can we figure this out? They've indicated that they think they would be good on FAR, but like I said, it was just something that set up a meeting, all those other things coming back for it, and so it might not be needed, but it was just something that we wanted to do and be proactive about.
And were there any issues with impervious surface ratios at all with all that?
That was another question initially as well, but they have confidence that they'll be able to meet that as well, and so
Asking about what the driveways were, it's hard to tell on the
Yep.
plat.
And so from staff standpoint, just from reviewing it, that's why the staff report couldn't really speak in detail on some things. Some things are a lot higher just because, I mean, like they haven't submitted the preliminary plat. And then once they do submit the preliminary plat, like I said, I mean, there's going to be a lot of work to kind of make sure that the math on this works. And then that like they only have those areas for buffers, like we were talking about, the minimum lot width, minimum lot size, and also the FAR.
Okay, other question for clarification, which may or may not be able to be answered. It looks like on the surrounding lot, that is a very wooded area. What is the current, like, are they going to try to keep as many trees, like keeping that so that there's not, so that like, for example, Mrs. Pitts who spoke, that there's not clear cut and she has a.
Yeah. Great question. So I'm not sure if anyone's ever seen my bag that I carry around, but it's green and it says inside sucks.
What does
it say?
Inside sucks.
Yeah, it says inside sucks. But I guess that has been one of the things that's kind of been a focus, kind of at a forefront that we talk about in a lot of the meetings. And there has been other conversations of working with the developer to how do we look at preserving green space in this possible development. So there are other things kind of beyond this and inputs that like we are working on to make the numbers work. Like Blake mentioned, there are a lot of different things that go into driving. There are a lot of factors that go into driving up the cost of the end product. And managing green space is one of those, and that is one of the conversations that we have had. And so I guess I just want to assure you, and I share that about my bag that I carry around. It is at the forefront of my mind, and it is something that we do bring to the discussions, and it was something that was relevant in this discussion as well.
Because it seems on the plat, to the north and the south, there is a decent green buffer. And then even it seems like the houses were at least thoughtfully placed with where they back up to Mr., I believe, Devosi, Kendrick Properties, Tree, like right there on that, what would be on Slaughter. The front of the back of the houses there. So if there's an opportunity to keep any existing green space, and then, the other houses back up or front on Foster. So I would want that to be a big consideration too, so that there's minimal impact to the surrounding homeowners.
Yep.
There was a lot of conversation about traffic. When do traffic patterns come into play?
Yeah, so that happens just kind of like after so I guess when the subdivision goes through, and we kind of think through like what the road configuration would be, when things go to get constructed and like go through the DRT process, that's when all that's figured out. So I guess like, let's say this were to be approved, this would go to planning commission, preliminary plat would be approved, and they work through the DRT process, start going through what the construction would be, trying to figure out like the traffic study. And then, like I said, whatever was mandated by the traffic study, whether that be turn lanes, additional lights, et cetera, those improvements would have to be made. Yep.
Okay.
So then there's the final plat process, and then you go
Okay,
and
perfect.
follow that.
Those would have to be made at developer expense, therefore increasing development cost.
But we're not weighing in on development costs.
I want that out there.
I mean, that's not our pro forma to work with, so.
Exactly.
We don't know what solutions are out there. We don't know what problems are out there because we're the Board of Zoning Adjustment.
We're just looking at these.
Yep.
Okay.
What you think?
This is so unlike many of our items. So it's like a chicken and egg type situation. If we approve this, then like usually things I feel like they're farther along and we have more to respond to. Maybe that's it just appears to be the case because of.
So how
Where we
far
are.
along is the city in changing that 50-foot requirement versus us having to approve that?
Yeah, so I guess kind of ideally, I want to kind of
On this
got
situation?
that. Yeah. So the minimum lot width of 50 feet wouldn't change. So what we are working on is putting together a plan unit development ordinance that would remove the lot minimum of 10 acres, like for something like akin to the PDD. Would also have a lot more flexibility, just kind of on lot widths, et cetera. So I mean, it almost just kind of like how we've structured it so far. I mean, there are certain parameters of conform with the future land use map and things like that, but it would be a blank slate. I guess the timeline on that, I would say late spring. But I mean, like I said, it hasn't been in the planning commission, hasn't been to council, hasn't been work sessions on it yet. And so I mean, like I tentatively, like I can say that, but I mean, that's not written in stone.
And we've asked that question at every other.
Something we're working on.
And Justice, if I could add to that, Justice, and even with a PUD development, variances and waivers could be considered, but they would be considered at the planning commission and then the council level, so they would still be vetted publicly. So it wouldn't be just a blanket approval.
Yep.
Okay, and then can you just explain to me the history? This is a little before my time, but the history of changing it from NC8, which that lot requirement would have been, obviously, that's neighborhood conservation.
Yeah, like
Is that
8,000.
8? What is the 8 being?
Yeah, that would have been
And
8,000.
switch to neighborhood
8,000 square feet.
8,000 square.
Yeah, so there was like in the in the comp plan currently, 2011. So there was a study. There was like a focus study done on that area, and like then this zoning district was created to to accommodate the changes that the study revealed that people wanted. And so, like I said, I mean, there was a lot of work around changing it. I think, as everybody knows, NC does not change over lightly.
Right.
And so, like I said, there's an entire study devoted to this area and the change to NRD. So there are certain uses that are allowed in NRD that aren't allowed in RDD, kind of all in this area. I mean, so if you look at the zoning map, like I said, in Northwest Auburn, it is a result of the Northwest Auburn housing study, or not housing study, but the Northwest Auburn plan
The
that
neighborhood
went into
plan.
place.
In addition to
Was
that,
held with a lot of community input, a lot of community hearings, and yeah.
in addition to what Justice was saying, when we looked at some of the rezoning, we actually went back and restricted some of the uses that you can do east of North Donahue that you can't do in this area.
Right, okay. Okay. More options.
So
on it.
we need to consider each, one of these
It's a
separately, correct?
Yep.
I mean, we have to vote on each one separately.
Yeah, and I guess as for what it's worth, if y'all wanted to put a condition on it that you guys grant the variance that this does become a affordable housing, then that'd be acceptable as well. And so we have spoken to legal counsel about that, and that would be appropriate.
Okay, perfect, yeah.
I just want to say that I don't remember how long I've served on this board, but more than 5 years. And this is the most participation that we've ever seen on any item, at least in the meetings that I've been to. And I just want to say thank you for coming out. I know that it's not easy to do. It's not easy to do at this time of day. It's not easy to do, period. And this is what we're here for. And I'm so pleased and honored that you took advantage of it and were able to take advantage of it. I hope that as you go forward, either on this item or something else, you continue to let us know how you feel and any other board, because this is how things get done and changed in line with the will of the people. So, thank you.
And also, we respect that none of us may live in that neighborhood. Also, that would mean that we have to recuse ourselves, so there would be nobody up here to vote if we all lived in that neighborhood. Just trying to bring a little levity to it. But again, just to piggyback on what Frost said, we do appreciate and understand your concerns. We want, with any time that there's progress and change, sometimes there's gonna be some heartache and some things that not everybody likes. So we try to be responsible and mindful of that as well.
Justice, how do we want to move forward with the condition if we want to apply that to these variances?
Yeah, so I guess we can either tag it on the end of them, or you guys can just kind of make it the blanket one, and then we'll make sure that it's in the, I guess like not the minutes, but I guess like the resolution or yeah. So it'll be in the resolution, and I guess just kind of affordable, just kind of.
It'd have to be set by the HUD guidelines.
Yep.
What about HUD? Can we also make it conditional on, we've done that before, and to try and maximize as much green space as possible?
Yep. We're working on that.
Okay.
That's a focus.
I also want to say to the developer, thank you for coming, and thank you for taking time to meet with people outside this meeting. I would say please know that it's never too late to engage with the people that that surround your project, and there's that relationship never ends. I teach a sustainable development course at the university, and we were going over the development process today, and there's always a chance to have that relationship and cultivate that relationship. So that's the end of my pontificating, but now we can discuss.
Okay.
Or bring something to a motion.
We're probably ready to make a motion.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. Is this, we've closed the public hearing.
I know you did, but it sounds like you finna approve this, or some of this, at my house adjourned to the back, where the green at in the back, on Holmes Avenue. And I was just wondering what they gonna put up a fence.
Thank you, sir. That's a good question.
We're not there
We'll
yet.
discuss that. We'll
Yeah.
discuss that when the plans come, if the plans proceed further. And there's always a chance to reach out. I appreciate you bringing that up.
So I guess how this would work now is like someone would just have to make a motion. It would be seconded.
Yeah, and
we'll
I think, again, I see the developer in the audience being willing to address that. Let's move forward with this item and then leave room for those discussions outside of the context of the meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve the first item. I don't have it in front of me. On the numbers.
20 foot.
On the 20-foot variance, with the condition for affordable housing and maximum green space allowed.
So okay, so it's the variance would be to the required 50-foot, to the 50-foot minimum lot width, single family detached house.
So the variance for the 20-foot to the required 50-foot minimum lot width for a single family detached house.
And do you want the HUD contingency?
Yes, and a contingent on
Yeah.
affordable housing based on HUD guidelines
Yep.
and maximum green space allowed.
I have, before we, I'm sorry, I have one more question.
Second, sorry.
She said, no questions.
Do we have the option to table this for any reason? I mean, what are those?
Yeah. So I guess if this were to be tabled,
We would, what
Yeah.
would we need to do to justify that?
And bring it.
yeah, like I mean, what more information? So I guess you would probably have to set out information that you would need, but I'm not sure any information that you could request would really be like within your purview because I think you guys have
Well,
kind of
not
already.
for us, but for the developer to, basically reapply and with a more complete packet or some, I'm using that as an example. I'm not saying your packet's incomplete.
Yeah. So
Because
so
it
I
is
guess.
at this early stage.
Yeah, and I guess kind of how this is kind of all developed, like we mentioned, a lot more of the granular details are more handled by the planning commission, and so I guess just kind of when we have like pre-op meetings with people, like we had one today, we talk about what their must-haves must be, and it's okay. So we really need this, and it's okay. Well, you either need a waiver for this, or this needs to be a variance, and so that happens at the early outset of the project. And so when they kind of work through it and kind of do the numbers, they're like, no, we're definitely going to need this variance. And so before we kind of dive in deeper and get to the granular details of other stuff that is reviewed by other boards, whether that be the planning commission or development review team, this would be the first stop for them, just kind of on a conceptual level, just because they know conceptually they're going to be below the 50-foot lot width, they're going to be below the 5,000 square feet. And so, like I said, I mean, the planning commission, when the preliminary plat will be submitted, they'll know specific lot sizes, they'll know what the minimum lot width is, like within the development. Like I said, a lot of those things would just approving this or denying this, I guess approving this would allow them to get to what those answers would be. I think that a lot of those granular details are handled by other entities.
Okay, and then the people would have a chance to speak again.
Yep.
In a meeting or outside of a meeting, formal or informal communications with the city.
Yeah. So preliminary plats are accompanied by public hearings.
Okay, so
That's during planning.
You second.
Yeah.
But yeah, right. That's what planning. You seconded. So I'm done. Thank you for answering my question.
Yeah.
Will Faulkner,
Yes.
Frost Rollins,
Yes.
Emmy Sorrells,
Yes.
Letitia Smith,
yes.
Marty Heffron,
Yes.
5-0.
So that motion is approved. Now we are moving on to the second part. The variance to allow a minimum lot area less than the required minimum 5,000 square feet. And to clarify, this is dependent on, this would not,
Following the same guidelines.
right.
Yep. HUD. Yeah. So y'all want just the.
State the entire thing.
That's a
again.
blanket statement, yes.
Yep. All right.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to approve variance to allow minimum lot area less than required minimum 5,000 square feet.
Second.
Will Faulkner,
Yes.
Frost Rollins,
Yes.
Emmy Sorrells,
Yes.
Letitia Smith,
No.
Marty Heffron,
Yes.
4-1.
So that variance is also, variance request is also approved. The third item, the third part is variance to allow a floor area ratio greater than the maximum allowed 35% FAR.
I'll make a motion to approve the variance to allow floor area ratio to amount of a maximum of 35 FAR.
If we don't have a second, then it dies.
Yeah. Didn't you second it?
I did not. I said, do we have a second?
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, this is the one I don't particularly like this one.
Okay, that motion fails.
All right. That works.
What's next on the agenda?
I think that's the last agenda item.
Did we set a meeting calendar? Because we didn't meet since.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
okay.
And so instead of just kind of letting that third one down the bind, y'all need to take a motion to deny it.
Oh, that's right.
That's
Yes.
right.
So I make a motion to deny the third part of this variance to allow a floor area ratio greater than the maximum allowed 35% FAR.
Second.
Will Faulkner,
No.
No, you want to vote yes?
Yes, that's fine.
I'm sorry. I should have taken a vote, but yeah.
Wait. Yes to deny.
Yes.
let's start over. Will Faulkner,
Yes.
Frost Rollins,
Yes.
Emmy Soares,
Yes.
Letitia Smith,
Yes.
Marty Heffron.
Okay.
I was sitting next to you. I would.
Any other technicalities that I need to go over?
No, so I guess just kind of for clarity purposes, I guess kind of how we envision this, I think from a very high level, like I said, I mean, we've already kind of talked about this. For like a project like this to work, if this were to move forward, there'd probably have to be an agreement with the city. Like I said, I mean, there's other exchanges that we've kind of talked about behind the scenes about like what about to get to an affordable place with this, but also there. So I guess like the HUD requirements and the green space that will be handled in that agreement.
Okay.
That would be associated with this. So.
Okay, so this concludes our meeting. Meeting adjourned.